I have a solution for Nick's financial problem. I haven't told him this. It is really classified, but I will share it with you. There was a pastor who came to a new church. And when he got there, he found out the church was in terrible shape. The roof was leaking, furnace didn't work, air conditioning didn't work. And his first Sunday, he said, folks, we need $4,000 to fix up our church. Anybody in the congregation who would be willing to give $100, would you please stand? And at that very moment, the Star Spangled Banner was played. I'm going to take pity on you. I did prepare an hour speech, but I'll cut it to 60 minutes. I was in Washington many months or many years ago, and Commandant Jim Jones, a giant to me, was speaking to our group. And he said, I'd like to speak to the candidates at Quantico. Now, I like to speak to patriotic people, because they're easy to get to respond. So he goes down to Quantico and speaks to the candidates, every graduating class, and he said, actually, sometimes I speak longer. I kind of get lost in my subject, and I speak longer than I should. And he said, I was down there not too long ago when that happened, and he said, I was so enthusiastic about the Marine Corps, I just could not quit. Finally, one of the candidates in the back got up and started to walk out. Nobody walks out on the Commandant. And he yelled at the candidate and said, Candidate, where are you going? He said, Sir, I'm going to get a haircut. He said, why didn't you get a haircut before this thing started? He said, Sir, I didn't need it then. I won't be that long. I grew up in the country on a dairy farm, and I, like probably most of the World War II guys in this audience, did not know about the Pacific. We probably knew a little bit about the Atlantic, because it was a ship or something wrecked over there one time. And I think maybe the school teachers might have said something to us about that. I didn't even know we had a Pacific Ocean. My concept of going in the Marine Corps was that all of us, not only those from our community, but from all over America, were going in. We would stay right here in America to protect America from anybody coming and trying to take our freedom and take our country. When I graduated boot camp in San Diego, California, and they told me I was going to the Pacific, I had no idea where I was going. Most of us did not know anything about war, because we didn't have any background to educate us. We didn't know that we were going to have to violate the very thing that our folks taught us. You do not kill. When I went into the Marine Corps and suddenly realized, maybe it wasn't so sudden, boot camp was 13 weeks and I didn't think, I don't know, last that long. But suddenly realized that now I am going to have to go to war, and I'm going to have to take lives if I'm going to survive. That was a tremendous amount of change in my my thinking. But it was a job that had to be done if our freedom was going to be protected. Then when we came home, on November 6, 1945, Cambridge, Maryland, they handed me a piece of paper. And across the top, it said, discharge. I had for at least 10, 24 hours to revert back to where I was when I was a little farm boy, milking cows and putting up hay. Many of my fellow veterans couldn't do that. They couldn't make that transition overnight or over months. And in 1945, services for World War II by the federal government, by the VA, did not exist. In my state, West Virginia, when I got home, we had one medical hospital in the whole state of West Virginia. And it was 220 miles from where I was raised and born and raised. We didn't even know it existed. There were no other services available. One of the best things that ever happened to me was as a result of having received the mental health. Now, believe it or not, I was a very shy, timid, backward boy. I was a country boy, not subject to getting before people. I didn't do anything to escape that if I could. But by virtue of having another mother, I was placed in a public situation where I had no choice. I had to talk about what happened to me. And that was the very best therapy I could have. It helped me to readjust. And see, it kept me from concentrating on those things that we didn't want to think about. One of my simple problems, I could not forgive myself. I don't know why, but I couldn't forgive myself for what I had to do in order to preserve the most precious gift that we could have. I had a young fellow that went to school with me, back 8 years old time. Leonard Brown lived about half a mile from me, a little less than a half mile. But Leonard went in the Air Corps, I was in the Marines. Leonard went to South Pacific as I did. He was in the nose of the aircraft, just like we see out here, just outside here. A bomb burst, a shell burst. Injured him severely. He died 4 days later. Mr. and Mrs. Brown were like second parents to me. They received the usual telegram saying that the person Leonard was missing and Leonard was deceased. It took 40 years to get Leonard back to the United States. I was speaking to a group of people up in Parkersburg, West Virginia. Question. Thinking of Mr. and Mrs. Brown. Do we have any gold star mothers course, are family members of my family. Lost a lot of it for us. After the talk was over, people left, except for one man. One man was sitting on the aisle. I had no idea why he stayed. So, trying to be polite, I said to him, "Sir, is there something I could do? Something I could do?" And I got no response. So I was gathered up and stuff to leave. Suddenly he came walking toward me. And he walked up within 10, 12 feet. Tears were flowing down his cheeks. And the only thing he said to me, "Dad's cried too." On the way back to my home that afternoon, I was determined to somehow find some way to pay recognition to those family members, those families who gave a loved one. I don't mean just the immediate family. I mean the cousins and the uncles and the aunts and the grandmas and the grandpas and the widow and the children. Some way of recognizing them, paying tribute to them, and honoring them for their sacrifice. Out on the building out here, there is a flag hanging down the wall. Here's a flag like this. My mother had 3 of these hanging in her front window during World War II, or the most of it. People went by my home and knew that this household had 3 people in the war. Mr. and Mrs. Brown had 2 of these hanging in their windows. But because Leonard did not get to go home, that blue flag was changed to a gold flag. Every household in our community who had somebody in the armed forces or lost a loved one had these flags. Why we have quit that, I don't know. I guess we thought the war was over. We'd never have another war. Maybe we didn't need flags anymore. But we do. We need flags to tell us that this household has somebody in it, from it, that is protecting our freedom. That has said by their signature on a piece of paper, "You might take my life,